Hello, friends. Are you ready to explore the fascinating world of Ben-Hur? Released on November 18, 1959, this film has sparked endless discussions, and today, we're bringing you all the hidden gems, stunning details, and unforgettable moments. If you enjoy this deep dive, be sure to hit that like button. It really helps our channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more exciting movie explorations. Let's jump right in and uncover the magic together. In the annals of cinematic history, few films have left as indelible a mark as Ben-Hur, 1959. Directed by William Wyler and starring Charlton Heston, this epic tale of betrayal, vengeance, and redemption not only captivated audiences upon its release but also set new standards for filmmaking. With a production budget that exceeded $15 million, a staggering sum for its time, the film became the most expensive production in Hollywood history and redefined the scope of epic storytelling. The allure of Ben-Hur lies not only in its grand scale but also in its deeply human narrative. At its core is the story of Judah Ben-Hur, a Jewish prince in Roman-occupied Jerusalem, whose life is shattered by betrayal. His journey from a man seeking revenge to one who finds redemption is both timeless and universally resonant. The film's seamless blend of personal drama with historical spectacle creates a cinematic experience that is both emotionally compelling and visually stunning. One of the most memorable sequences in Ben-Hur is the chariot race, a scene that has become iconic in film history. Shot over 5 weeks at a cost of $1 million, the race required more than 200 miles of racing footage to complete. The sequence is a masterclass in practical effects, utilizing real chariots, horses, and thousands of extras to create a thrilling spectacle that remains unparalleled in its intensity and realism. Beyond its technical achievements, Ben-Hur is also notable for its performances. Charlton Heston's portrayal of Judah Ben-Hur earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor, while Hugh Griffith's portrayal of the Arab Sheikh, Sheikh Ilderim, garnered him the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. Their performances, along with those of the supporting cast, bring depth and authenticity to the film's rich tapestry of characters. The film's success was not confined to the box office. At the 32nd Academy Awards, Ben-Hur won a record 11 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Cinematography. This achievement stood as a testament to the film's artistic and technical excellence and solidified its place in the pantheon of cinematic masterpieces. Ben-Hur also stands out for its portrayal of faith and redemption. The film intertwines the story of Judah Ben-Hur with the life of Jesus Christ, whose teachings and sacrifice profoundly impact the protagonist's journey. This spiritual dimension adds a layer of depth to the narrative, elevating it from a mere historical epic to a profound meditation on forgiveness and transformation. The film's influence extends beyond its immediate success. Ben-Hur has been preserved in the National Film Registry for its cultural, historical, and aesthetic significance. It continues to be studied and admired by filmmakers, scholars, and audiences alike for its groundbreaking achievements in storytelling and filmmaking. In the heart of first-century Jerusalem, Judah Ben-Hur, a prosperous Jewish prince and merchant, lives a life of privilege with his mother, Miriam, and younger sister, Tiza. Their household also includes Esther, the daughter of their steward, Simonides. Esther's beauty and kindness captivate Judah, and he grants her freedom as a wedding gift, symbolizing his deep affection for her. The tranquility of their lives is disrupted with the arrival of Messala, Judah's childhood friend, who returns to Jerusalem as the commander of the Roman garrison. Embracing Roman ideals and imperial power, Messala seeks Judah's assistance in quelling Jewish dissent. However, Judah remains steadfast in his commitment to his faith and the autonomy of his people, leading to a rift between the two friends. Tensions escalate during a Roman procession when a mishap involving loose roof tiles leads to the accidental injury of the Roman governor. Despite the incident being unintentional, Messala seizes the opportunity to arrest Judah, his mother, and sister, sentencing Judah to the grueling life of a galley slave. Enduring the hardships of slavery, Judah's resolve hardens, fueled by thoughts of vengeance against Messala. His fortunes change during a naval battle when he saves the life of Quintus Arrius, a Roman commander. Recognizing Judah's valor, Arrius adopts him as his son, providing Judah with a new identity and resources. Now a free man, Judah returns to Judea with the intent to locate his family and exact revenge on Messala. His journey is fraught with challenges, but his determination remains unshaken. After enduring the hardships of slavery, Judah Ben-Hur's fortunes take a dramatic turn during a naval battle. He saves the life of Quintus Arrius, a Roman admiral, who, impressed by Judah's bravery, adopts him as his son. This act of kindness provides Judah with a new identity and a fresh start. Under Arrius's tutelage, Judah becomes a skilled and respected man, gaining wealth and status. With his newfound resources, Judah returns to Judea with the intent to locate his family and seek revenge on Messala. His journey is fraught with challenges, but his determination remains unshaken. Upon reaching Jerusalem, he learns that his mother and sister have been living in a leper colony, suffering from the affliction they contracted during their imprisonment. In a poignant reunion, Judah brings his mother and sister to safety, though their condition remains dire. The emotional weight of this moment underscores the personal cost of his quest for vengeance. As Judah grapples with the consequences of his actions, he encounters a man named Jesus, who offers him water during a moment of suffering. This brief interaction plants the seeds of spiritual transformation in Judah's heart. The film's climactic chariot race is a spectacle of unparalleled intensity. Judah competes against Messala, seeking both victory and retribution. The race is a test of skill, endurance, and resolve, culminating in a dramatic and unexpected outcome that leaves Judah facing profound moral dilemmas. In the aftermath of the race, Judah's journey takes a spiritual turn. He witnesses the crucifixion of Jesus and experiences a profound awakening. The film concludes with Judah finding redemption, not through vengeance, but through compassion and faith. Few films carry the kind of layered detail and thoughtful craftsmanship that Ben-Hur does. It's a towering epic on the surface, but beneath the chariots and Roman banners lies a wealth of subtle nods, symbolic flourishes, and intricate choices that elevate it to something far more enduring. For all its grandeur, it is in the small, almost hidden moments that Ben-Hur reveals its soul. From the very beginning, the film announces its intent to blend spectacle with spiritual reverence. The famous MGM lion, usually shown with its mighty roar, opens the film in silence. This deliberate quiet sets a sacred tone, as the opening scene depicts the Nativity. Without a word, the film invites the viewer to approach with reverence, foreshadowing how faith and spiritual awakening will guide the journey ahead. Much of Ben-Hur's hidden brilliance lies in its production design. The city of Jerusalem was not just a set, it was a living, breathing replica of the ancient world. Spanning half a square mile and complete with a full-size replica of Jaffa Gate, the set immersed cast and crew in the era. And that realism bleeds into every scene. From the fine details of Jewish household items to Roman insignias that whisper of domination and pride, the background constantly reinforces the tension between oppression and identity. Judah Ben-Hur's own home tells a quiet story of cultural preservation. Throughout his house, mezuzahs, small scrolls containing Hebrew scripture, appear affixed to doorframes. This religious detail, easily missed by casual viewers, subtly reinforces Judah's connection to his faith and his heritage. And when he returns to his ransacked home after years of slavery, the lingering presence of those mezuzahs becomes a symbol of endurance. The faith may have been tested, but it was never erased. The film is layered with meaningful symmetry, none more poignant than in the mirrored scenes of water. Early in the story, Judah, broken and chained, collapses from exhaustion. A stranger, whose face the camera never fully reveals, offers him water. That man is Jesus. The moment is brief, almost gentle amid the harshness of Judah's suffering, but it marks a turning point. Later in the film, Judah seeks to return the favor. During the crucifixion, he tries to give water to Jesus in his final hours. In this reversal, the man who once thirsted becomes the one offering comfort. It's a moment that bridges personal gratitude with spiritual awakening, binding the story of Judah to that of Christ in a subtle but powerful way. The famous chariot race, widely regarded as one of cinema's greatest action sequences, is filled with hidden details that reflect both narrative and technical mastery. The decision to construct the arena from scratch allowed the filmmakers to control every inch of the environment. Even the color of the sand was chosen to enhance contrast on camera, giving the sequence its striking visual punch. But the real magic lies in the stunt work. One of the most famous shots, where Judah's chariot nearly flips after hitting wreckage, was not planned. That jolt, where Judah is seen thrown forward and almost tossed from the chariot, was actually performed by the stunt coordinator's son. The moment looked so dangerously real that it was kept in the final cut, adding a visceral sense of authenticity that still leaves viewers breathless. Even Messala's armor carries meaning. It is darker, more ornate than the other Roman soldiers, a nod to his ambition and growing moral decay. Early in the film, he wears simpler military dress when reconnecting with Judah, but by the time of the race, his appearance reflects his transformation into an agent of power and destruction. It's a quiet evolution that the costume department crafted deliberately, a visual cue of character descent. There are other small moments that carry tremendous weight, if you know where to look. Consider Esther's role. In many scenes, she is framed near doorways or thresholds. Symbolically, she exists between two worlds, the world of Judah's past and the world he might enter if he chooses forgiveness. Her presence often coincides with Judah's internal conflicts, acting not just as a love interest but as a compass for his soul. She isn't pulling him toward revenge. She's pulling him back toward humanity. One lesser-known Easter egg lies in the background of the Roman garrison scenes. On several banners, eagle insignias appear alongside SPQR emblems, a Latin phrase meaning the Senate and people of Rome. While historically accurate, their use here is more than decorative. These banners visually reinforce the immense institutional power behind Messala, making it clear that Judah isn't just up against one man, but the weight of an empire. It's this contrast, between empire and individual, power and spirit, that pulses throughout the film. The character of Balthasar also deserves mention. As one of the three wise men, he appears briefly during the nativity scene and reemerges later in Judah's story, guiding him toward a deeper understanding of faith. His presence ties the story's beginning and end together like spiritual bookends. Though his role is soft-spoken, it holds immense weight. He represents wisdom, prophecy, and the enduring presence of divine influence, quietly watching over Judah's journey from prince to slave to redeemed man. Another subtle touch is how light is used to guide emotional tone. Scenes of Roman power and punishment are often lit starkly, with hard shadows and bright, oppressive sunlight. In contrast, scenes involving Jesus or moments of emotional revelation are bathed in softer, warmer light, even during dark times. This consistent visual language trains the viewer to feel spiritual elevation or oppression without a single line of dialogue needing to explain it. Interestingly, the film also serves as a subtle commentary on post-WWII ideals. Released in 1959, it resonates with Cold War undertones. Themes of power, resistance, freedom, and moral clarity all echo the global tensions of its time. Judah's fight against the Roman machine may be ancient, but it reflected the anxieties and aspirations of a contemporary audience facing fears of oppression and a yearning for spiritual direction in a chaotic world. Even the casting choices carry deeper layers. Charlton Heston, known for his strong moral screen presence, was chosen not just for his physicality but for the internal weight he could carry silently. His Judah is not a man of many words. Much of his character is revealed through expression, posture, and presence. The camera lingers on his reactions as often as it does his speeches. Likewise, the decision to never show Jesus' face wasn't just stylistic. It allowed the character to become more universal, more symbolic, representing divinity rather than reducing him to a single actor's portrayal. The final act of the film is perhaps its most layered in meaning. As Judah watches the crucifixion, he sees the ultimate act of forgiveness unfold. The blood of Christ, mixing with the rain, flows down and reaches the leper colony where his mother and sister suffer. It is there that they are healed. The scene is awash in symbolism: spiritual cleansing, sacrificial love, and rebirth. The rain doesn't just heal them physically, it marks the moment where Judah's hatred dissolves. For the first time, he is free. What makes Ben-Hur's hidden details so powerful is that they are never forced. They are woven into the fabric of the story so organically that you may not even notice them at first. But with each viewing, something new reveals itself: a small gesture, a background symbol, a line of dialogue that takes on deeper meaning in hindsight. These layers are what make the film not just an epic, but a work of enduring art. Ben-Hur is often remembered for its spectacle, and rightly so. But beneath the sand and steel, beneath the roaring crowds and thundering hooves, lies a quieter, more profound story. One that unfolds in glances, shadows, symbols, and echoes. It's a film that rewards attention, not just to the action on screen, but to the soul of the story being told. And it is there, in the unspoken, where Ben-Hur becomes timeless. Ben-Hur, 1959, directed by William Wyler, stands as a monumental epic in cinematic history. Beyond its grand scale and spectacle, the film delves into profound themes of betrayal, redemption, and faith. A critical examination of its pivotal moments reveals how these scenes not only drive the narrative but also enrich the emotional and thematic depth of the story. The film opens with a portrayal of Judah Ben-Hur's prosperous life in Jerusalem, establishing his status and relationships. This tranquility is shattered when a chance encounter with the Roman governor, Gratus, leads to Judah's unjust condemnation. This event sets the stage for Judah's transformation, highlighting themes of injustice and the fragility of human fortunes. The film's early moments showcase the fragility of life and the vulnerability of individuals even within positions of privilege. In the Roman galleys, Judah's experience as a slave is marked by relentless hardship. The rhythmic pounding of the oars, synchronized with the soldiers' chants, immerses the audience in the brutality of his existence. This sequence not only showcases Judah's physical torment but also his unwavering spirit, laying the foundation for his eventual quest for vengeance and redemption. The brutality of the galleys serves as a stark contrast to the fleeting peace of Judah's earlier life, setting up a critical turning point that propels his journey forward. A pivotal turning point occurs when Judah encounters Jesus Christ, who offers him water during a moment of profound suffering. This act of compassion plants the seeds of Judah's spiritual awakening, introducing a thread of hope amidst his despair. The simplicity of the gesture contrasts with the grandeur of the surrounding events, emphasizing the transformative power of kindness. This moment is crucial because it introduces a theme that will reverberate throughout the film: the power of love, forgiveness, and selflessness. The chariot race sequence is the film's most exhilarating segment. The intense competition between Judah and Messala is more than a physical contest. It's a manifestation of their personal rivalry and contrasting paths. The meticulously choreographed race, with its heart-stopping moments, serves as a cathartic release for both the characters and the audience, encapsulating themes of justice, retribution, and the inexorable passage of time. This moment is both a visual and emotional climax that delivers the payoff for Judah's struggle, illustrating his growth and the weight of his personal vendetta. Following the race, the revelation of Judah's family's affliction with leprosy adds a layer of emotional complexity. This development challenges Judah's perceptions of fate and justice, propelling him toward a path of healing and reconciliation. The leper colony becomes a place of introspection, where Judah confronts his own biases and learns the true essence of compassion. It is here that Judah begins his true transformation, realizing that vengeance alone will not bring peace and that mercy and redemption are the true path forward. The final act brings Judah full circle, leading him to the crucifixion of Jesus. Witnessing this event, especially in the context of his own journey, solidifies his transformation. The act of forgiveness and the ultimate sacrifice of Jesus bring about a profound shift in Judah, marking the culmination of his internal journey. This moment is powerful because it links the personal with the universal. The suffering of Judah mirrors the suffering of Jesus, and in witnessing the crucifixion, Judah is not only confronted with the enormity of his past actions but is also given the opportunity for spiritual rebirth. Throughout these moments, the film employs visual storytelling techniques, such as close-ups, dynamic camera movements, and symbolic imagery, to amplify emotional resonance. The interplay of light and shadow, particularly in scenes depicting internal conflict, adds depth to the characters' psychological landscapes. For example, when Judah is faced with moments of choice or revelation, the lighting subtly shifts, visually representing his transformation. The musical score further enhances this experience, with themes that underscore the narrative's emotional highs and lows, pushing the audience through the peaks of exhilaration and the depths of despair alongside the characters. In essence, Ben-Hur masterfully intertwines action with introspection, delivering a cinematic experience that is both thrilling and thought-provoking. Each pivotal scene contributes to a cohesive narrative that explores the complexities of human nature, making the film a timeless study in storytelling excellence. The emotional and thematic weight of the story, reinforced by its powerful key moments, ensures that the audience's viewing experience remains deeply engaging, far beyond the surface spectacle of the film. These turning points, coupled with the film's stunning visuals and meticulous attention to detail, allow Ben-Hur to stand as one of the most unforgettable films in cinematic history. Ben-Hur, 1959, is not only known for its epic storytelling and unforgettable performances but also for the creative and technical choices that shaped its final form. Behind the grand spectacle of chariot races, massive sets, and intense drama lies a rich tapestry of filmmaking ingenuity. The story of how this cinematic masterpiece was created is filled with anecdotes, technical feats, and groundbreaking achievements that elevated the film and left a lasting mark on the industry. From the moment the decision was made to bring Ben-Hur to the screen, the production team, led by director William Wyler, knew they were embarking on an unprecedented challenge. Unlike anything seen before in Hollywood, the scale of the film would demand cutting-edge techniques, meticulous planning, and creative problem-solving on an epic scale. This commitment to pushing the boundaries of cinema is evident in the many technical innovations and bold artistic choices that shaped the production. The monumental scale of the production. One of the most striking aspects of Ben-Hur was its sheer scale. At the time of its production, the movie was the largest and most expensive film ever made, with a budget that surpassed $15 million, equivalent to more than $120 million today. The film's visual scope is a direct reflection of that ambitious budget, especially in the way its sets, costumes, and special effects were executed. Perhaps the most remarkable technical feat in terms of scale was the construction of the Jerusalem set. The set, which depicted ancient Jerusalem during the time of Christ, was an immense undertaking, covering more than 300,000 square feet and incorporating highly detailed recreations of architectural landmarks. The production team faced the daunting task of designing and building this massive set to look as authentic as possible, given the historical context of the film. The meticulous attention to detail was a defining feature of the film's visual style, with massive stone walls, grand gates, and markets all crafted with painstaking accuracy. The set became one of the largest ever constructed in Hollywood and helped to establish the film's world-building approach. In addition to the construction of the physical sets, the filmmakers also had to find creative ways to depict the immense crowds that would populate Jerusalem. The solution was the use of thousands of extras. Over 10,000 extras were employed in the production, which not only created an authentic sense of bustling life but also contributed to the film's epic scope. These extras were carefully coordinated, often with military precision, to ensure that each scene appeared crowded and dynamic. The chariot race, a game-changer for action sequences. When most people think of Ben-Hur, they think of the legendary chariot race. The scene is, without question, one of the most exhilarating and memorable sequences in film history. But what many don't realize is just how difficult and innovative the creation of the chariot race was. It would take months of preparation, choreography, and technical know-how to create a scene that could stand the test of time. The chariot race was not only a test of the actors' physical abilities but also a technical achievement in cinematography and editing. The filmmakers used cutting-edge techniques to capture the high-speed action, ensuring that the stakes felt high and the danger palpable. The race was filmed on an elaborate 18-acre set, designed to look like a Roman chariot arena, with all the grandeur and danger of an actual race. Over 200 horses were used in the sequence, with dozens of expert chariot drivers and stunt performers who risked life and limb to create one of the most exciting action scenes ever filmed. The film's technical team had to come up with inventive ways to shoot the race sequences to maximize their impact. For example, the filmmakers used a variety of camera angles to create a sense of dynamic motion. One of the most famous shots in the chariot race involves a low-angle shot of Judah Ben-Hur's chariot speeding down the track, which was achieved by mounting the camera on a special rig that was pulled by horses. This gave audiences a thrilling first-person perspective of the race, intensifying the action and immersing the viewer in the experience. In addition to the high-speed chase, the filmmakers also made use of innovative techniques in sound and editing to amplify the tension. The use of close-ups and quick cuts during key moments of the race helped to ratchet up the suspense, especially when Judah and Messala, his rival, face off on the track. The chariot race remains a hallmark of action cinema, not just because of its scale and intensity, but because of the technical expertise that went into creating it. Filming the galleys and use of water. Another remarkable technical challenge faced by the filmmakers was the depiction of Judah Ben-Hur's life as a slave rowing in the Roman galleys. The sequences in the galleys were some of the most difficult to shoot because of the logistics involved in creating such a massive and detailed scene. The filmmakers had to build full-scale replicas of ancient Roman ships to house the actors and extras. The scene required not only elaborate set designs but also intense coordination between the actors, directors, and crew. The complexity of the galleys was compounded by the need to film inside the confined spaces of the ships, capturing the raw and brutal atmosphere of life below deck. The filmmakers achieved this by using innovative techniques in lighting and sound. The cramped, shadowy interiors of the galleys were lit using high-contrast lighting, with flickering torches creating a grim, oppressive atmosphere. The sound design was similarly immersive, with the rhythmic pounding of the oars and the grunts of the slaves filling the soundtrack to create a sense of relentless toil. One of the most remarkable feats in filming these sequences was the challenge of working with water. Since the film required a realistic portrayal of the galleys, filmmakers used water tanks to simulate the conditions of the ships at sea. The use of water not only posed logistical challenges but also technical hurdles related to filming underwater. The crew had to develop new techniques to capture the action while maintaining continuity in the visuals. This attention to detail made the scenes in the galleys some of the most viscerally engaging moments in the entire film. Innovative cinematography and camera techniques. The cinematography in Ben-Hur played a key role in bringing the film's vast and ambitious story to life. The film utilized 70mm film, a format that allowed for incredibly sharp, high-resolution images. This was a cutting-edge choice at the time and contributed to the sweeping, epic feel of the film. Cinematographer Robert Surtees took full advantage of the wide frame, capturing grand vistas and large crowd scenes that showcased the film's impressive scale. One of the most iconic shots in Ben-Hur is the famous shot of the chariot race, but there are many other moments in the film where Surtees' innovative use of cinematography elevates the emotional and thematic depth of the story. In particular, Surtees made creative use of wide shots to capture the expansive sets and bustling environments of ancient Jerusalem, while close-ups were employed to emphasize the personal struggles of the characters. The interplay of light and shadow also added layers of meaning, particularly in scenes that dealt with themes of faith and redemption. The cinematography in Ben-Hur wasn't just about beauty or spectacle. It was about enhancing the story and enriching the audience's emotional connection to the characters. Whether it was the grandeur of the chariot race or the intimate moments between Judah and Jesus, Surtees' camera work was a crucial part of the film's impact. Unforgettable music and sound design. The film's score, composed by Miklos Rozsa, is often hailed as one of the best in cinematic history. Rozsa's music infused Ben-Hur with a sense of grandeur and poignancy, perfectly complementing the film's epic narrative. The score became one of the defining elements of the film, weaving together themes of triumph, despair, and spiritual awakening. The music was not only powerful on a thematic level but also groundbreaking in its technical execution. Rozsa employed a full orchestra, including a massive choir, to create a soundscape that echoed the grandeur of the film's visuals. In scenes like the chariot race, the music swells in intensity, amplifying the excitement and tension of the sequence. In quieter moments, such as Judah's encounter with Jesus, the score takes on a more subdued and spiritual tone, underlining the emotional depth of these pivotal moments. Challenges and innovations in post-production. Post-production on Ben-Hur was a monumental task in itself, as the film's extensive footage had to be carefully pieced together. The first cut of the film was over 4.5 hours long, and a painstaking editing process ensued to trim the film to its final length of just under 3.5 hours. This process was further complicated by the sheer volume of footage shot during the film's production. More than 1.1 million feet of film were exposed during filming. In addition to traditional editing techniques, the filmmakers also had to deal with the challenges of sound synchronization and special effects. The film's intricate sound design was carefully crafted in post-production to ensure that the final product had the same immersive qualities that the filmmakers achieved on set. Special effects were used sparingly but effectively, such as in the dramatic sequence of the crucifixion, where the filmmakers employed innovative techniques to create a sense of divine presence. Conclusion. The behind-the-scenes story of Ben-Hur is one of technical achievement, creative vision, and an unrelenting drive to push the boundaries of what cinema could achieve. From the construction of massive sets and the choreographing of the chariot race to the groundbreaking cinematography and unforgettable score, every aspect of the film contributed to its status as an all-time classic. The innovative techniques and careful attention to detail that went into the making of Ben-Hur ensured its place as one of the most influential films ever made, one whose impact is still felt in cinema today. Ben-Hur, 1959, is a film that operates on many levels: action, drama, spectacle. But its true power lies in the profound themes and symbols that are interwoven throughout the narrative. At its core, the movie is about redemption, faith, and the struggle between personal vengeance and the transformative power of forgiveness. Yet, beneath these universal themes, Ben-Hur also delves into societal and cultural issues that were relevant both at the time of its release and remain relevant to this day. The film's rich symbolism, nuanced social commentary, and exploration of human nature elevate it from mere entertainment to a profound meditation on life, justice, and spirituality. Themes of revenge, redemption, and forgiveness. At the heart of Ben-Hur is the powerful theme of revenge. Judah Ben-Hur's life is irrevocably altered when his former friend, Messala, betrays him and condemns him to slavery. Driven by a burning desire for vengeance, Judah's entire journey revolves around the pursuit of justice for the wrongs he has suffered. However, his path toward revenge is not one of glory. It is filled with suffering, hardship, and a constant emotional toll. This theme speaks to the destructive nature of vengeance, how it consumes the individual and offers little in the way of true satisfaction or healing. Judah's transformation is not simply the result of his desire to get revenge. It is, instead, a spiritual awakening. As the narrative unfolds, his experience with suffering, and his eventual encounter with Jesus Christ, becomes the catalyst for a shift in perspective. Where vengeance once ruled his heart, forgiveness begins to take its place. This moment, where Judah is offered water by Jesus while suffering in the streets of Jerusalem, is pivotal. The kindness of Jesus, even in the face of his own suffering, offers Judah a new path forward, one of grace and spiritual rebirth. Through this transformation, Ben-Hur highlights the timeless theme of redemption. Judah's journey from bitterness and hatred to forgiveness and spiritual renewal mirrors the broader narrative of Christian redemption. His willingness to let go of his thirst for revenge and embrace forgiveness is ultimately what leads to his personal salvation. This transformation is not just a plot device, it speaks to a deeper moral truth. True redemption is only achieved when one is willing to forgive, not just others, but also oneself. Faith and the role of Jesus Christ. Another central theme in Ben-Hur is the concept of faith. The film is set during the time of Jesus, and his presence, though indirect, casts a long shadow over the entire narrative. While Judah's quest is driven by the personal injustice done to him, the film continually contrasts his journey with the life of Jesus, who preaches peace, love, and forgiveness. Through the lens of Judah's transformation, the film explores how faith, and specifically Christian faith, can offer a path to healing and spiritual awakening. The subtle, yet powerful, depiction of Jesus throughout Ben-Hur is one of the film's most profound aspects. Jesus is never fully seen or heard, but his presence is felt throughout the film in small, meaningful ways. From the moment he offers Judah water in the streets, to his final act of sacrifice on the cross, Jesus becomes a symbol of grace and divine love. In many ways, the film can be seen as a parallel to Christ's own journey, a story of suffering, sacrifice, and eventual redemption. This presence of Christ underscores the overarching theme of how faith can provide strength, even in the darkest of times. The contrast between Judah's worldly perspective and Jesus's teachings becomes especially apparent during key moments in the film. For example, when Judah is faced with the suffering of his family, the symbolic nature of his journey becomes even clearer. Through his suffering, Judah is reminded of the importance of faith and the necessity of letting go of anger and hate in order to experience spiritual liberation. This theme speaks to the broader human experience of grappling with suffering, loss, and personal growth, which many viewers can relate to, regardless of religious affiliation. The struggle between power and compassion. In addition to personal themes of vengeance and redemption, Ben-Hur also serves as a subtle critique of power structures, particularly through its portrayal of the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire, in the film, is depicted as a ruthless force of control and authority, seeking to crush any resistance. This is especially evident in the character of Messala, Judah's former friend who, in his rise to power, has adopted the brutal and oppressive methods of the Romans. Messala's character arc symbolizes the corrupting influence of power. He begins as a man of idealism, a friend to Judah, but as he ascends to a position of power, he becomes cold, calculating, and willing to sacrifice any moral code in the name of ambition. His actions serve as a critique of the pursuit of personal gain at the expense of others, and his ultimate downfall is a warning about the dangers of losing one's humanity in the pursuit of power. This contrast between the characters of Judah and Messala also reflects the broader theme of compassion versus cruelty. Judah, despite his suffering, retains his humanity and sense of honor, while Messala's ambition leads him to forsake compassion for the sake of power. The film invites the audience to reflect on how power, when used irresponsibly, can lead to moral decay, while compassion and kindness have the potential to heal even the deepest wounds. The symbolism of the chariot race. One of the most iconic sequences in Ben-Hur is the famous chariot race. On the surface, it appears to be a simple competition between Judah and Messala, a test of strength, skill, and determination. However, the chariot race serves as a powerful symbol of the greater themes of justice and retribution that are central to the film's narrative. The chariot race represents the culmination of Judah's journey, not just physically but emotionally. It is, in many ways, a final test, a moment where Judah confronts his past, his hatred, and his desire for revenge. As the race progresses, the stakes become higher, and the tension intensifies. At the climax of the race, Judah's victory over Messala is not just a personal triumph, but a symbolic one. It represents the victory of justice over cruelty, of righteousness over corruption. Yet, the aftermath of the race reveals the true cost of Judah's pursuit of revenge. His victory, though sweet in the moment, is ultimately hollow, as it does not heal the wounds he has sustained or grant him the peace he so desperately seeks. This reflects a central message of the film, that vengeance, while a powerful motivator, does not bring true fulfillment or peace. It is only through forgiveness and spiritual growth that Judah can find the redemption he seeks. Social and cultural commentary. On a broader level, Ben-Hur can be seen as a commentary on societal issues that were just as relevant during the time of its release as they are today. The film touches on themes of injustice, suffering, and the yearning for freedom, which resonate with contemporary issues such as racial inequality, political oppression, and the quest for human rights. The story of Judah's wrongful imprisonment and his struggle for justice mirrors the experiences of those who fight against systems of power that seek to oppress and silence them. Additionally, Ben-Hur reflects the cultural and religious climate of the 1950s, when religious epics and films about personal transformation were at the height of their popularity. The film's emphasis on Christian values, particularly the themes of redemption and forgiveness, also speaks to the post-war optimism and a desire for moral renewal. However, the film's exploration of power dynamics and the corruption of authority can also be seen as a subtle critique of the societal structures of the time, particularly in relation to political power, military might, and the complex relationship between the individual and the state. Furthermore, Ben-Hur also touches on themes of personal responsibility and the importance of compassion in society. As Judah's journey illustrates, it is not enough to seek justice or redemption through force or vengeance. True transformation requires empathy, humility, and a willingness to forgive, not just others but also oneself. Conclusion. Through its masterful blending of themes, symbolism, and social commentary, Ben-Hur transcends its status as a mere historical epic. It speaks to the heart of the human experience, our struggles with suffering, vengeance, forgiveness, and the desire for redemption. The film's exploration of power, compassion, and faith provides a rich, layered narrative that continues to resonate with audiences decades after its release. The themes of Ben-Hur are timeless and universal, reflecting not only the historical context of the film but also the ongoing challenges that individuals and societies face. Whether grappling with personal struggles, seeking justice, or navigating the complexities of faith, the movie offers profound insights into what it means to be human. In this way, Ben-Hur is more than just an epic tale. It is a mirror that reflects the complexities of human nature and the power of grace, redemption, and forgiveness. Ben-Hur, 1959, stands as one of the most visually stunning films ever made, largely due to its innovative use of cinematography, lighting, sound design, and editing. Every frame of the film is crafted with meticulous care, not just to capture the scale and grandeur of its epic narrative, but also to enhance the emotional and thematic depth of the story. William Wyler, the director, employed a range of cinematic techniques to immerse the audience in Judah Ben-Hur's journey, from his fall into despair to his ultimate redemption. These techniques allow the audience to not only witness the events of the film, but to experience them on an emotional and visceral level. The visual language of Ben-Hur serves as both a narrative device and a means of deepening the connection between the audience and the story. Cinematography and visual style. The cinematography in Ben-Hur is a triumph of both technical skill and artistic vision. Cinematographer Robert Surtees, who won an Academy Award for his work on the film, employed a range of techniques to capture the grandeur and intimacy of the story. Perhaps the most notable feature of Ben-Hur's cinematography is the use of the 70mm format, which allowed for exceptionally sharp, high-resolution images and offered the filmmakers the ability to capture wide panoramic shots. This technique was crucial in showcasing the epic scale of the film's sets, such as the sprawling streets of Jerusalem, the colossal Roman arena, and the iconic chariot race. The use of wide shots and expansive landscapes helped establish the world in which the story takes place, emphasizing the immense scope of Judah's journey. The film's opening scenes in Jerusalem, for example, are rich with wide-angle shots of the city, establishing both its grandeur and its historical significance. These wide shots contrast sharply with the more intimate close-ups that highlight the emotional depth of the characters' struggles. The chariot race, a cinematic milestone. One of the most iconic moments in the film, and indeed in cinematic history, is the chariot race. The scene is an extraordinary feat of visual storytelling and technical accomplishment. The use of cinematography during the chariot race, in particular, serves as a masterclass in tension building. The sequence is notable for its innovative camera work, which captures the breakneck speed and danger of the race. For much of the sequence, Surtees used a combination of mounted cameras, rigs, and innovative tracking shots to capture the action from multiple perspectives. The low-angle shots, in particular, give the viewer a visceral, first-person perspective of the race, amplifying the intensity of the moment. Moreover, the dynamic camera work helps to convey the emotional stakes of the race. As Judah's chariot pushes ahead and Messala's nears its end, the cinematography reflects the heightened sense of danger and urgency. The film cuts between wide shots of the track and close-ups of the drivers, using quick cuts to heighten the tension. These shifts in focus reflect the characters' emotional states, adding depth to what might have otherwise been a purely physical contest. The use of fast-paced editing and sweeping camera angles not only heightens the excitement but also helps build an emotional connection with the audience, making the chariot race much more than a mere spectacle. It becomes a symbolic confrontation between the past and the future, vengeance and forgiveness. Lighting and symbolism. The lighting choices in Ben-Hur are also integral to its visual storytelling. One of the most significant aspects of the film's lighting is its use of high contrast between light and shadow, which not only helps establish mood but also conveys key thematic elements. Throughout the film, lighting is often used to emphasize the inner turmoil of the characters and to symbolize larger thematic concerns, particularly the struggle between good and evil, justice and vengeance. In the earlier scenes, when Judah is consumed with rage and thirsting for revenge, the lighting often casts long, harsh shadows on his face, symbolizing his internal darkness. This use of shadow intensifies his sense of isolation and alienation. In contrast, during moments of spiritual awakening or emotional epiphany, such as his encounter with Jesus or his moments of reconciliation, the lighting softens, and Judah is often bathed in gentle, almost divine light. These moments are visually signified through the use of diffused, natural light, which gives a sense of purity and grace, symbolizing the cleansing of his soul. Similarly, the scenes depicting Jesus, though never directly showing the figure of Christ, are illuminated in a way that conveys a divine presence. The light surrounding him is almost ethereal, often filtered through the crowds in a way that makes the figure of Jesus appear to shine through the darkness. This subtle use of light serves as a visual cue to the audience, signaling that something sacred is taking place, even in the midst of suffering and despair. Sound design and music. The sound design in Ben-Hur is just as carefully considered as its visual elements. Miklos Rozsa's score, which is one of the most famous and revered film scores of all time, plays a critical role in reinforcing the emotional weight of the story. Rozsa's use of a full orchestra, including a choir, lends the film a sense of grandeur and drama that mirrors its sweeping narrative. The music underscores key moments, such as the chariot race or the final crucifixion scene, imbuing them with an emotional depth that elevates the spectacle into something more profound. In addition to the score, the sound design in Ben-Hur is crucial in creating an immersive experience. The film makes effective use of sound to heighten the tension and realism of key scenes. For example, during the galley scenes, the rhythmic pounding of the oars and the grunts of the slaves below deck are amplified, creating a visceral sense of the physical and psychological strain of life in the galleys. Similarly, the sound of the horses' hooves pounding the track during the chariot race is amplified, pulling the audience into the race and making them feel as though they are in the thick of the action. The sound of the crowds, particularly during the chariot race and other public spectacles, further enhances the sense of scale and grandeur. The roars and gasps of the audience are meticulously mixed to create a powerful atmosphere, bringing a level of realism and excitement that makes these scenes feel alive. The balance between dialogue, sound effects, and music is expertly crafted to support the narrative and allow the emotions to resonate in a deeper way. Editing and pacing. The editing of Ben-Hur plays a crucial role in shaping the film's narrative flow and emotional impact. Editor Ralph E. Winters won an Academy Award for his work on the film, and his skillful use of pacing and rhythm is evident throughout. The film's structure is both epic in scope and deeply personal, and the editing reflects this duality. In large-scale sequences such as the chariot race or the naval battle, the quick-paced cutting heightens the action and builds suspense. However, the editing slows during more intimate moments, such as Judah's conversations with his family or his spiritual reflections, allowing the audience to connect more deeply with the emotional stakes of the story. One of the most notable editing techniques used in Ben-Hur is the way it transitions between large, action-packed sequences and smaller, character-driven moments. For example, after the intense chariot race, the film takes a step back to explore Judah's internal struggles, shifting the focus to his spiritual growth and transformation. This ebb and flow between spectacle and personal drama creates a sense of balance, ensuring that the film never loses sight of its central emotional arc, even amid its grandest moments. In terms of structural pacing, the film also carefully builds tension before delivering its climactic moments. The slow burn leading up to the chariot race, the long stretches of Judah's imprisonment, and his eventual reunion with his family all serve to deepen the audience's emotional investment. By the time the action reaches its peak, the audience is fully engaged, and the payoff feels earned. Directorial vision and stylistic choices. William Wyler's direction of Ben-Hur is deeply influential, both in terms of the way he orchestrated large-scale action scenes and in his ability to draw out nuanced performances from his cast. Wyler's vision was to create a film that was not just visually spectacular but emotionally resonant, one that would captivate audiences both through its grandeur and its intimacy. Wyler's attention to detail and his commitment to realism in Ben-Hur were evident in his meticulous staging of scenes, particularly in how he used space and the environment to reflect character relationships and emotions. For example, during key moments of emotional confrontation or catharsis, Wyler often uses the physical environment to reflect the inner turmoil of the characters. When Judah is finally reunited with his family, the framing of the scene, with its wide shot of the family standing in the open air, conveys a sense of freedom and relief, as well as a deep emotional release. Wyler's ability to blend the personal with the grand is a key reason Ben-Hur stands out as a masterwork. His commitment to capturing the human experience amidst the backdrop of a monumental historical event is what elevates the film from a simple historical epic to something profoundly affecting. Conclusion. The visual language of Ben-Hur is a testament to the power of cinematic technique. The film's cinematography, lighting, sound design, editing, and directorial vision all work in harmony to create a cohesive and immersive experience. Each of these elements, whether it's the sweeping camera work of the chariot race, the haunting use of light in the moments of spiritual awakening, or the heart-pounding sound design, enhances the narrative and adds emotional depth to the story. In Ben-Hur, every visual and technical choice is driven by the overarching themes of the film: redemption, forgiveness, and the struggle between personal vengeance and grace. Wyler and his team of filmmakers understood that in order to bring this epic story to life, they needed more than just impressive sets and action sequences. They needed to create a world that felt alive and emotionally resonant. Through their mastery of cinematic techniques, Ben-Hur became a film that not only told a grand historical tale but also explored the deeper emotional and spiritual dimensions of the human experience. The film's visual storytelling remains an extraordinary example of how cinema can transcend spectacle to become a powerful, transformative art form. The chemistry between the actors in Ben-Hur, 1959, is one of the key components that made the film not just a historical epic, but a deeply emotional and personal story. The relationships among the cast, both on-screen and off, helped breathe life into the complex characters and made the grand spectacle resonate on a human level. From the central dynamic between Charlton Heston's Judah Ben-Hur and Stephen Boyd's Messala, to the interactions among the supporting cast, Ben-Hur is a film filled with powerful performances that are enriched by the cast's chemistry. The behind-the-scenes stories are just as compelling as the on-screen drama, revealing the personalities, struggles, and moments of camaraderie that helped shape the film. And when the film was released, audiences reacted with awe and admiration, elevating the film to legendary status, a reaction that has only grown over time. The heart of the film, Charlton Heston and Stephen Boyd. At the core of Ben-Hur is the emotional rivalry between Judah Ben-Hur, Charlton Heston, and Messala, Stephen Boyd, which drives much of the narrative. The two actors brought their characters to life in such a way that the intense emotional conflict between them became palpable, helping the audience feel the stakes of Judah's journey on a visceral level. Their chemistry, both on-screen and off, was central to the film's success. Charlton Heston, as Judah Ben-Hur, delivered a performance of incredible depth and strength. His portrayal of Judah's emotional arc, from a man driven by vengeance to a figure seeking redemption, required an actor with the ability to convey both physical strength and emotional vulnerability. Heston was known for his commanding presence, and his portrayal of Judah allowed him to dominate the screen in the film's more action-driven scenes. However, his more reflective moments, especially in scenes with his family or with Jesus, allowed Heston to display a softer, more introspective side, showcasing his range as an actor. His connection to the role of Judah was so deep that he felt personally responsible for carrying the weight of the film's themes of justice, redemption, and faith. In contrast, Stephen Boyd's portrayal of Messala is equally vital to the film's emotional core. Messala is Judah's childhood friend turned antagonist, and Boyd's performance perfectly captures the complexities of this character. Messala is not purely evil. He is a man shaped by his ambition, his desire for power, and his belief in the Roman Empire's might. Boyd's portrayal of Messala humanizes the character, making him more than just a villain. His scenes with Heston, particularly in their moments of confrontation, crackle with tension. The dynamic between the two characters, once friends, now bitter enemies, gives the film its emotional backbone. Heston and Boyd's chemistry was particularly evident in their interactions during rehearsals and interviews. Despite the intensity of their on-screen rivalry, the two actors developed a strong friendship off-screen, often bonding over their shared experiences of filming the grand scenes. Both actors would later reflect on the experience of making Ben-Hur as one of the most formative of their careers. Boyd, in particular, would speak about the challenges of portraying a character so morally complex, noting that he found Messala's internal struggle difficult to portray but deeply satisfying once he understood the layers of the character. The supporting cast, unseen yet unforgettable. While Heston and Boyd's performances were central to the film, the supporting cast also brought essential depth to Ben-Hur. Actors like Martha Scott, who played Judah's mother, Naomi, and Sam Jaffe, who played the wise and compassionate Sheikh Ilderim, helped shape the emotional landscape of the film, providing moments of tenderness and wisdom that balanced the larger-than-life spectacle. Martha Scott's performance as Naomi was particularly noteworthy. Naomi, who has been unjustly imprisoned alongside her son Judah, represents the moral and emotional heart of the story. Scott's portrayal was filled with quiet strength and grace, offering a steady emotional presence in the face of extreme adversity. Her character was instrumental in grounding Judah's journey, providing him with both a reason to fight and a source of comfort when the weight of his quest became too much to bear. Scott's warm rapport with Heston off-screen translated into an authentic mother-son dynamic on-screen, which helped bring a layer of authenticity to the emotional moments between Judah and his family. Similarly, Sam Jaffe's role as Sheikh Ilderim, the eccentric and wealthy Arab who aids Judah in his chariot race, brought a light-hearted yet sage presence to the film. Ilderim's character may not have been as central to the plot as Judah or Messala, but Jaffe's performance added much-needed levity and wisdom to the story, offering Judah both material support and emotional guidance. Behind the scenes, Jaffe was known for his wit and intelligence, and he often played the role of the wise mentor in interviews, offering insight into his character's motivations and the moral lessons of the film. His on-screen chemistry with Heston helped elevate Ilderim from a secondary character to a memorable figure. One of the film's most striking supporting performances comes from Hugh Griffith, who portrayed Sheikh Ilderim's servant, the towering and noble character of Ben-Hur's ally, Simonides. Griffith, who won an Academy Award for his role, captured the essence of loyalty, bravery, and sacrifice. His performance added gravitas to every scene he was in, providing essential emotional depth to the storyline. Behind-the-scenes stories and camaraderie. While the grandeur of Ben-Hur was on full display in its epic scenes, the behind-the-scenes stories reveal the camaraderie, challenges, and dedication that the cast and crew shared. The making of Ben-Hur was a massive undertaking that involved long hours of filming, a complicated production schedule, and numerous logistical hurdles. Yet, the cast remained remarkably united throughout the process. The actors, despite their differing roles and screen dynamics, forged strong friendships during the production. A particularly amusing anecdote that has since become part of Ben-Hur lore involves the chariot race scene. The intense action sequence, which is still considered one of the greatest in cinematic history, was filmed with real horses and chariots, requiring all the actors to be involved in training for the event. Heston, Boyd, and the rest of the cast spent weeks learning to drive chariots, and Boyd, who had no prior experience with horses, became particularly close with the stunt crew. Heston, with his own background in action films, was quick to take charge, often offering advice and encouragement to his fellow castmates. However, the story goes that during one of the final rehearsals, Boyd, in a moment of nerves, accidentally crashed his chariot into one of the set's walls. His quick recovery was praised by the crew, and Heston, with his characteristic good humor, was said to have congratulated him for his crash course in chariot racing. Another memorable behind-the-scenes moment occurred when the cast was filming in the sweltering heat of the desert for the scenes involving the Roman galleys. The actors often had to wear heavy costumes under the hot sun, and many found the conditions grueling. Heston, known for his strong leadership on set, took it upon himself to keep morale high, often organizing impromptu games or sharing light-hearted stories during breaks. Boyd, who struggled with the heat more than most, was said to have bonded with Heston over their shared discomfort, and the two grew close through their shared experiences. Their off-screen friendship made their on-screen rivalry even more intense, as it was rooted in a mutual respect for one another's craft. The making of the film was also marked by intense collaboration between the cast and director William Wyler. Wyler was known for his meticulous attention to detail, and he often worked closely with the actors to ensure their performances were as authentic as possible. Heston recalled that Wyler was particularly focused on the emotional journey of Judah Ben-Hur, and he pushed the actor to explore deeper aspects of the character's psyche. The director's dedication to his craft, combined with the actors' willingness to dive into their roles, created an atmosphere of mutual respect and shared artistic vision. Audience reactions: a phenomenal impact. Upon its release in November 1959, Ben-Hur was met with overwhelming critical and audience acclaim. Audiences were captivated by its grand scale, gripping story, and the emotional performances of the cast. The film's success at the box office was a reflection of its widespread appeal, and it quickly became a cultural phenomenon. Ben-Hur was praised not only for its incredible spectacle, such as the chariot race and the sea battle, but also for the depth and complexity of its characters. This combination of action and emotion made it stand out among other films of the time. The film's success at the 1960 Academy Awards, where it won 11 Oscars, was a testament to its enduring impact. This made Ben-Hur the most awarded film at the time, setting a record that would stand until Titanic in 1997 and The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King in 2004. The awards cemented Ben-Hur's place in cinematic history and proved the power of both its technical achievements and its emotional storytelling. In the years that followed, the film's legacy only grew stronger. Audiences revisited the film time and time again, drawn not only by its spectacle but also by its deep exploration of themes such as redemption, faith, and the human condition. Over time, Ben-Hur has become a touchstone of epic cinema, frequently cited as one of the greatest films ever made. The movie's critical re-evaluation has further solidified its place in history. While some critics initially focused on its technical achievements, such as the famous chariot race, more recent discussions have centered on its emotional depth and the nuanced performances of its cast. Today, Ben-Hur is regarded not only as a technical marvel but also as a deeply resonant exploration of human nature. Conclusion. The chemistry between the cast of Ben-Hur, most notably between Charlton Heston and Stephen Boyd, was crucial to the film's success. Their on-screen rivalry became a key part of the emotional depth of the story, while their off-screen camaraderie helped build a spirit of collaboration that carried the production through its challenges. Behind the scenes. Ben-Hur, 1959, is a film that continues to shape and influence cinema more than 6 decades after its release. It is a masterpiece that transcended its time, becoming a touchstone not just for historical epics but also for the entire film industry. With its unparalleled achievements in storytelling, performance, and technical innovation, Ben-Hur left a legacy that reverberates through the culture of cinema and popular culture, influencing not only its own genre but also countless films that followed. It didn't just carve out its place in history at the time of release. It cemented its significance with its sweeping scope and profound emotional resonance, winning critical acclaim, reshaping cinematic expectations, and touching audiences in ways that endure to this day. A monumental achievement in cinema. Upon its release, Ben-Hur was hailed as one of the greatest films ever made, and that sentiment has only grown with time. From the scale of its production to the richness of its storytelling, Ben-Hur became a reference point for future epic films and raised the bar for how much cinema could accomplish. Its influence extended beyond the historical epic genre, shaping how large-scale productions were conceived, executed, and presented to audiences. At the time of its release, the film's scope was unparalleled. Director William Wyler's vision was realized through groundbreaking technical feats, the most notable being the legendary chariot race. This high-octane, meticulously choreographed sequence, featuring real horses and the raw power of the race's competitive spirit, became an iconic moment in film history, still admired for its heart-pounding energy and cinematic precision. It wasn't just a stunt sequence. It was a moment that elevated the medium, showing that action could be both a spectacle and an emotional journey. The race didn't just serve as a pivotal plot point. It became a defining sequence that captured the grandiose scale of Ben-Hur and, by extension, of the epic genre itself. Ben-Hur also demonstrated how large-scale productions could be interwoven with powerful storytelling, where human emotion, specifically Judah Ben-Hur's journey from vengeance to redemption, could sit alongside impressive technical achievements. This fusion of spectacle and emotional depth has since become a hallmark of great filmmaking, especially in epic and adventure films, and Ben-Hur remains a touchstone for how to blend grandeur with personal stakes. Its impact was felt across the industry, influencing how directors, screenwriters, and producers viewed the potential of cinema. Ben-Hur proved that a movie could tell an intimate, personal story while also scaling the heights of epic proportions. The film set new standards for what was possible within the medium, particularly when it came to blending action with powerful drama. Cultural and cinematic influence. The film's cultural impact stretches far beyond its initial release, influencing not just filmmakers but also popular culture at large. The sheer iconic nature of Ben-Hur has been referenced and homaged in numerous films, television shows, and even commercials. Its blend of historical fiction with emotional character arcs became a template for many films in the adventure genre, including Gladiator, 2000, The Ten Commandments, 1956, and The Passion of the Christ, 2004, to name just a few. These films, while distinct in their own right, carry forward the torch of Ben-Hur's blend of epic spectacle with deeply human stories. The impact of Ben-Hur can also be seen in the numerous parodies, references, and nods within pop culture. One of the most notable homages occurred in the 1997 film Titanic, where James Cameron's blockbuster famously paid tribute to Ben-Hur's spirit with its own grandiose and emotionally charged sequences. The chariot race, in particular, has been mimicked or referenced in multiple ways across media, often as a symbol of the unbridled energy and potential of cinematic action. It wasn't just the action sequences that influenced filmmakers, though. The deeply spiritual themes of Ben-Hur, especially the themes of faith, redemption, and the struggle between vengeance and forgiveness, have left a mark on cinema. Many films have explored these themes in ways that echo Ben-Hur's emotional and philosophical depth. The way Ben-Hur intertwined its action with Judeo-Christian motifs helped pave the way for future biblical epics and films with strong moral and spiritual undertones. Audience reactions. From 1959 to the present day. The emotional and thematic power of Ben-Hur continues to resonate with audiences today, not just because of its grand spectacle, but because of its deeply relatable human themes. The film explores universal ideas like the pain of betrayal, the challenge of forgiveness, and the journey of redemption, all set against a historical backdrop. These timeless themes have allowed Ben-Hur to remain relevant and influential over the years. At the time of its release, Ben-Hur captured the imagination of moviegoers with its visually stunning sequences and its emotionally charged narrative. The film became a cultural touchstone of the 1960s, representing the apex of cinematic achievement. It garnered widespread critical acclaim, with audiences both thrilled by its technical achievements and deeply moved by its emotional depth. Critics were quick to praise the film's achievements, particularly its innovative use of sound, visual composition, and special effects. The chariot race became an instant legend, widely regarded as one of the greatest action sequences ever filmed. The technical mastery of this sequence set a new standard for action in cinema, and filmmakers from various genres would refer to it as an inspiration for years to come. However, the emotional and spiritual themes of Ben-Hur were equally important in making the film resonate with audiences on a deeper level. The religious overtones of the film, which focus on the personal transformation of Judah Ben-Hur as he goes from seeking vengeance to embracing forgiveness, touched a nerve with viewers. The film's ability to combine grand action with moments of spiritual reflection made it unique, giving it a universal appeal that transcended religious boundaries. The film's success at the box office was also unprecedented. Ben-Hur became a global sensation, earning over $74 million in its initial release, a sum that would be considered astronomical even by today's standards. Its commercial triumph reflected the public's hunger for films that combined emotional depth with epic spectacle, and the film's popularity didn't just remain confined to movie theaters. The success of Ben-Hur sparked a wider interest in historical epics, influencing the subsequent rise of films like Spartacus, 1960, The Fall of the Roman Empire, 1964, and Cleopatra, 1963. In the decades following its release, Ben-Hur continued to impact audiences, gaining recognition as a cultural classic. Its availability on home video, DVD, and Blu-ray ensured that new generations of viewers could experience its grandeur and timeless story. The film's legacy was not confined to its original audience, and each new generation that discovered Ben-Hur would be introduced to its monumental achievement in storytelling and filmmaking. Major achievements and industry milestones. Perhaps Ben-Hur's greatest achievement came in the form of its unprecedented success at the Academy Awards. In 1960, Ben-Hur won 11 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Director for William Wyler, and Best Actor for Charlton Heston. The film also took home awards for Best Supporting Actor, Hugh Griffith, Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, Best Film Editing, Best Sound, and Best Special Effects, among others. This 11 Oscar sweep was a record at the time and remains one of the highest numbers of Academy Awards ever won by a single film, alongside Titanic, 1997, and The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, 2003. The film's victories at the Oscars solidified its place in film history, but the cultural impact of those wins was also significant. The overwhelming success of Ben-Hur helped to affirm the notion that epic films could not only succeed commercially but could also be respected critically. It proved that large-scale productions could still be deeply meaningful and emotionally resonant, and this victory encouraged filmmakers to pursue big-budget films with the understanding that technical excellence and emotional depth could go hand in hand. The industry recognized Ben-Hur as a trailblazer in terms of cinematic scale and ambition. In the years following its release, filmmakers and studios began to pursue similarly ambitious projects, some of which drew inspiration from Ben-Hur. The epic nature of the film and its ability to blend action, character development, and spiritual themes set a new standard for Hollywood productions, both in terms of their narrative scope and their visual grandeur. Reflection on its legacy. The legacy of Ben-Hur is one of lasting cultural influence and cinematic significance. The film not only revolutionized the epic genre but also elevated the expectations for storytelling in cinema. By blending personal emotional depth with grand spectacle, Ben-Hur set the stage for future films that aim to capture both the awe of the audience and the depth of human experience. The cultural impact of Ben-Hur extends well beyond its era. In terms of visual storytelling, thematic exploration, and sheer spectacle, Ben-Hur has become the standard by which many subsequent epics are measured. It showed the world that films could be both grand in scope and emotionally resonant, an enduring achievement that resonates in cinema to this day. Even after all these years, Ben-Hur remains a classic, and its influence is evident in the way filmmakers continue to approach the epic genre. As a cinematic achievement, Ben-Hur stands as one of the greatest films of all time. Its impact on audiences, critics, and the industry continues to reverberate, confirming its place in the pantheon of film history. Imagine the roar of a Roman crowd, the clatter of hooves against stone, and the sheer intensity of a chariot slicing through dust and danger. That's the pulse of Ben-Hur, an epic that didn't just tell a story, it reshaped cinema. At its heart is Judah Ben-Hur, portrayed with intensity and conviction by Charlton Heston, whose performance captures both the torment and transformation of a man thrust from nobility into slavery, and from vengeance into redemption. Heston's physicality, his stern yet vulnerable expression, and his commanding presence anchor a story that unfolds on a scale few films had dared to attempt at the time. Directed by William Wyler, a master of emotional depth and grand storytelling, Ben-Hur is as much a personal tale as it is a spectacle. The betrayal by Messala, once Ben-Hur's closest friend and now a merciless Roman officer, sets off a chain of events that is as heartbreaking as it is thrilling. Stephen Boyd, who plays Messala, infuses the character with a cold ambition that makes the betrayal feel personal. The chemistry between Heston and Boyd in their early scenes adds layers of complexity to their later conflict. It's not just Rome against Judea, it's friend against friend, loyalty twisted into rivalry. Every frame of Ben-Hur is a visual feast. Shot in glorious widescreen using MGM Camera 65, the film showcases vast Roman architecture, sun-drenched deserts, and elaborate interiors with a clarity and richness that still holds up today. The film's scale wasn't just for show, it reflected the ambition behind the production. Sets were constructed over months, extras numbered in the thousands, and everything from costumes to props was crafted with obsessive attention to historical detail. The film's production budget exceeded $15 million, an astronomical figure at the time, but every cent is visible on screen. And then, of course, there's the legendary chariot race. Filmed over 5 weeks on one of the largest sets ever built at Cinecittà Studios in Rome, this 9-minute sequence remains one of the most exhilarating in cinema history. Real horses, real chariots, real danger. Wyler insisted on using practical effects and real stunts, which gave the race a raw, visceral energy that even modern CGI struggles to replicate. Heston trained extensively with horses and chariots, and while stuntmen handled the riskiest moments, he performed much of it himself. That authentic connection between actor and action is part of what makes the scene so gripping. Every turn, every near collision, every triumphant cry, it's cinematic perfection. But Ben-Hur isn't just about spectacle. It's also about spiritual awakening. The film intertwines its narrative with the life of Jesus Christ, whose presence remains mostly unseen, yet deeply felt. He appears at key moments, offering water to a broken Ben-Hur, standing silent yet powerful as is crucified, transforming the story from a revenge tale into one of forgiveness and grace. These moments are handled with reverence, never preachy but always profound, and they provide the film with its moral backbone. One of the most underappreciated aspects of Ben-Hur is its score, composed by Miklos Rozsa. Sweeping, emotional, and deeply memorable, the music carries the viewer through every high and low. The chariot race may leave you breathless, but it's Rozsa's music that leaves your heart full. The score earned an Academy Award, and deservedly so. Speaking of Oscars, Ben-Hur won 11 Academy Awards, setting a record that stood unchallenged for decades. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Cinematography, Best Art Direction, Best Costume Design, the list goes on. It wasn't just a box office success, it was a cultural event, a moment in film history that redefined what audiences expected from Hollywood epics. Behind the scenes, the story was just as fascinating. The pressure on William Wyler was immense. He had already directed numerous critically acclaimed films, but this was different. He was overseeing one of the largest productions in film history. He was meticulous, sometimes shooting dozens of takes to get a single shot just right. He pushed his actors to emotional extremes and demanded absolute realism from every department. The result? A film that doesn't just entertain, it transports. And yet, for all its grandeur, Ben-Hur resonates because of its humanity. It's Judah's journey that we follow, and it's his transformation that stays with us long after the credits roll. From anger to forgiveness, from slavery to freedom, his arc is timeless. It reminds us that even in the darkest moments, hope endures. That in the face of betrayal, we can still choose compassion. And that redemption is possible, no matter how far we've fallen. So the next time you hear the thunder of hooves or see the glint of Roman armor, remember Ben-Hur. Not just as a film, but as a towering monument to what cinema can achieve when heart, vision, and craftsmanship collide. Thanks for watching, friends. If you enjoyed this journey into one of Hollywood's greatest epics, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, keep the popcorn warm and the classics rolling. Ben-Hur, 1959, stands as an undeniable landmark in the history of cinema. A film of monumental scope, emotional depth, and technical brilliance, it continues to captivate and inspire audiences, filmmakers, and critics alike. What makes this movie so special isn't just its impressive achievements in the realms of production, storytelling, and acting, but the way it managed to seamlessly blend the personal and the epic, the intimate and the grand, in a way that had never been seen before, and, quite frankly, has rarely been replicated since. At its core, Ben-Hur tells the story of a man's journey, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, against the backdrop of ancient Rome. The film follows Judah Ben-Hur, a nobleman wrongfully enslaved, as he seeks vengeance, redemption, and ultimately, peace. While the grand scale of the chariot race, the epic battles, and the sweeping set pieces certainly captured audiences' imaginations, it is the emotional heart of the story that makes Ben-Hur so unforgettable. The film's core themes of forgiveness, revenge, faith, and transformation are timeless, and its deep, nuanced exploration of these themes resonates just as strongly today as it did when the film was first released. The epic scope of Ben-Hur was groundbreaking in its time, and remains one of the defining features of the film. The film's grandeur, particularly evident in the famed chariot race, set a new standard for what could be achieved in cinema. Few films can match the visceral intensity and technical brilliance of the race, which remains a masterclass in action filmmaking. But Ben-Hur wasn't just about spectacle, it was about the human experience. It combined action and drama in a way that allowed for a deeply personal story to unfold within a larger-than-life setting. This balance between spectacle and emotional resonance is perhaps the key reason why Ben-Hur endures as a classic. From a technical perspective, the film was a true achievement. The groundbreaking use of widescreen, the meticulous attention to detail in the costumes and set design, and the sheer scale of the production set new standards in filmmaking. The special effects, while impressive for their time, were not used simply for the sake of spectacle. Instead, They served the story and the themes, enhancing the viewer's emotional engagement with the characters and events. The film's cinematography, with its sweeping landscapes and close-up moments of intense personal struggle, is another aspect that sets Ben-Hur apart from other films of its era. The careful blending of technical innovation with deep emotional storytelling elevated the film beyond a mere visual experience to something far more profound. In addition to its technical feats, the performances in Ben-Hur are nothing short of extraordinary. Charlton Heston's portrayal of Judah Ben-Hur is iconic, capturing the inner conflict, rage, and eventual peace of a man torn between revenge and redemption. His performance in the titular role helped elevate the film to a level of emotional depth that few other performances have reached. Supporting performances, particularly by Hugh Griffith, who won an Academy Award for his role as Sheikh Ilderim, add to the richness of the narrative, giving depth to the secondary characters while also providing pivotal emotional moments that further enhance Judah's journey. The film's exploration of religion and spirituality is another reason it continues to resonate. At a time when biblical epics were common, Ben-Hur stood out for its depiction of spiritual transformation. The quiet, subtle presence of Jesus Christ in the story, though not central in terms of screen time, is deeply woven into the fabric of the narrative. His influence on Judah's journey is profound, and the way in which the film juxtaposes Judah's search for vengeance with his eventual embrace of faith creates a powerful, lasting message about the healing power of forgiveness. The spiritual undercurrent of the film is not preachy or heavy-handed, but instead, it serves as a guide for Judah's transformation, and by extension, for the audience's own reflection on the themes of grace and redemption. As much as Ben-Hur is a story of one man's journey, it is also a film that explores broader societal and cultural themes. It touches on issues of power, injustice, and the corrupting nature of revenge, all set against the backdrop of an ancient empire. The film's portrayal of slavery, as experienced by Judah and his fellow captives, speaks to the human cost of empire building and the fragility of human dignity. The contrast between the grandeur of Rome and the suffering of its enslaved people is striking, and it adds a layer of complexity to the narrative that elevates it beyond just an adventure story. It's a film that challenges viewers to consider the moral consequences of power, the human costs of vengeance, and the path to personal growth and transformation. The technical feats of Ben-Hur are just as impressive as its performances and story. The movie's use of sets, costumes, and large-scale action scenes set a new benchmark for Hollywood productions. The chariot race, in particular, is a technical marvel that combines raw physicality with expert choreography and filmmaking ingenuity. The horses, the tension, the crashes. It all comes together to create a sequence that is thrilling and impactful even decades later. The sequence didn't just entertain, it also served to underline the central themes of the film. The idea that one's greatest victory often comes not in the arena, but in the heart. Another significant aspect of Ben-Hur's legacy is its cultural impact. The film influenced not just other historical epics, but also how audiences viewed large-scale productions. It proved that epic storytelling could be both emotionally resonant and visually stunning. Directors like Ridley Scott, Gladiator, Peter Jackson, The Lord of the Rings, and others who would go on to direct their own epic films undoubtedly drew inspiration from Ben-Hur. The movie showed that grand storytelling could engage with the deepest, most universal emotions, and it set the standard for what could be accomplished on the big screen. In Jerusalem, around 26 AD, Judah Ben-Hur, a wealthy Jewish prince and merchant, lives with his mom, Miriam, and younger sister, Tiza. Their steward, Simonides, has a daughter named Esther. Judah agrees to let Esther marry a freeman and even frees her as a wedding gift. Since they were kids, Judah and Esther have been in love. Judah's Roman friend, Messala, comes back to Jerusalem as the commander of the fortress Antonia. He's all about Rome's glory and power, while Judah stays true to his faith and the Jewish people's freedom. When Messala demands that Judah turn in any rebels to Roman authorities, Judah refuses and cuts off all contact. The new Judean governor's procession comes into the city. Judah and Tiza watch from the upper terrace when loose roof tiles fall, spooking the governor's horse and throwing him off. Messala thinks it was an accident but still sentences Judah to the galley ships and locks up Miriam and Tiza. He also arrests Simonides. While they're being taken away, they stop in Nazareth. They don't have any water, and Judah gets sick but is saved when a carpenter gives him a drink. After 3 years in the galleys, Judah gets a new job as a soldier on the flagship of Roman consul Quintus Arrius. Arrius is impressed by Judah's determination and self-control and offers to train him as a gladiator or charioteer, but Judah says no. Then, Macedonian pirates attack the Roman fleet, and Arrius orders Judah to be set free. The ship gets rammed, and the galley floods. Judah frees the other rowers and then saves Arrius, who was thrown overboard. After being rescued, Arrius finds out that the battle was won. Later, he asks Emperor Tiberius to free Judah and adopts him as his son. In Rome, Judah becomes a famous charioteer. On his way back to Judea, Judah meets Balthasar and Arab Sheikh Ilderim. They see Judah's skills as a charioteer and ask him to race their 4 horses before the new Judean governor, Pontius Pilate. Judah says no, even though he knows Messala is competing. Balthasar tells Judah about a prophet he's looking for who talks about love and forgiveness and urges Judah to let go of his anger and hatred. Judah returns to Jerusalem to find his mom and sister. At his old house, he finds Esther, who never married, living with her sick dad and also Malach, a mute ex-prisoner. Messala tortured Simonides, who still protected Judah's money. Judah pretends to be Quintus Arrius' son and confronts Messala. He demands to know what happened to Miriam and Tisa. Messala lets them go from prison. Now they're both lepers and secretly sent to the Valley of the Lepers. Before leaving the city, the women find Esther and beg her to hide their condition from Judah. Esther tells Judah they're dead to stop him from looking for them. Seeking revenge, Judah agrees to drive Sheikh Ilderim's 4 horses against Messala in the chariot race. The Sheikh makes Messala bet a lot of money on himself before revealing Judah is his driver. During the race, Messala drives a beaked chariot, cutting the wheels to stop other competitors. He tries to destroy Judah's chariot but crashes his own instead. He's dragged behind his horses and trampled by another chariot, while Judah wins the race. Before dying, Messala tells Judah that his mom and sister are alive in the Valley of the Lepers. At the leper colony, Judah meets Esther and Malach bringing supplies to Miriam and Tisa. Esther convinces him to hide like his family would want. She then follows a crowd and Balthasar to hear what might be Jesus Christ's Sermon on the Mount. Judah meets with Pontius Pilate, who's worried that Judah's win will make people rebel against Roman rule. Judah says no to his inheritance and Roman citizenship. He goes back to the leper colony and tells Miriam who he is. He finds out that Tisa is dying. Judah and Esther take them to see Jesus Christ, but the trial of Jesus has already started. While Jesus is carrying his cross through the streets, he falls down. Judah recognizes him as the man who gave him water earlier and tries to give him water, but a Roman soldier stops him. Judah, a Jewish prince, witnesses Jesus' crucifixion and experiences a miraculous healing. After enduring 3 years in the galley ships, he is freed and adopted by Roman consul Quintus Arrius, becoming a renowned charioteer. Driven by revenge, Judah defeats his former friend Messala in a chariot race, only to discover his mother and sister are alive as lepers. Of course, Ben-Hur's legacy extends beyond its influence on cinema. It has had an enduring presence in popular culture, with references to its most famous moments, like the chariot race, echoing in everything from films to television shows to parodies. The impact of Ben-Hur is so wide-reaching that even those who haven't seen the movie can recognize its significance and appreciate its contributions to film history. As much as Ben-Hur is about triumph and spectacle, it is ultimately about transformation. It's about the journey of a man from hatred to healing, from vengeance to redemption, and from darkness to light. It's about how one man's soul is changed forever by the people he meets, the challenges he faces, and the faith he finds. And in this journey, it reminds us all that, even in the most difficult times, forgiveness is a path toward peace. A timeless message that resonates just as strongly today as it did in ancient Rome. The legacy of Ben-Hur endures because it touches on the fundamental truths of the human experience. It teaches us about perseverance in the face of adversity, about the importance of empathy and forgiveness, and about the potential for personal transformation. These themes are universal, transcending the historical setting of the film and speaking to audiences across generations. In closing, Ben-Hur is a monumental achievement that deserves to be celebrated and remembered for the impact it has had on cinema and popular culture. It's a film that, through its epic scale, profound themes, and unforgettable performances, has earned its place among the greatest films of all time. Whether you're revisiting it for the 100th time or discovering it for the first time, there's always something new to appreciate in this timeless masterpiece. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into Ben-Hur and would like to explore more films like it, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We have plenty of exciting movie explorations coming your way, and we wouldn't want you to miss out. Thank you for joining us on this journey through one of the greatest cinematic achievements in history. Stay tuned for more deep dives into the world of film, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.